If you've been sewing with knit fabrics for a while, you might have heard of something called a cover stitch machine. And if you've wondered whether this is something you need, I'm going to help you decide today. In this video, I'm going to give you the pros and cons of getting a cover stitch machine so you can decide if it's a waste of money for you or maybe your new favorite thing in the world. You'll learn what a cover stitch machine does, 4 reasons why getting a cover stitch machine is worth it, 4 reasons why you might not need this expensive machine, and stay until the end and I'll share my 4 tips for buying a cover stitch machine if you do decide it's worth it. Before we get into the pros and cons, what does a cover stitch machine actually do? A cover stitch machine finishes your knit hems. So that includes neckbands, waistbands, and cuffs. If you look at a ready-to-wear sweatshirt, you'll see 2 rows of stitches along all the hems. And if you look at the underside of the stitch, you'll see a really pretty chain stitch. You can use the machine to 1, hem knits, 2, add top stitching, which looks especially great on activewear, or 3, insert elastic if your machine has special attachments. If you really want to know more about cover stitch machines, we have a whole video about them and I'm going to link to that below as well. Now let's get into the pros and the cons of buying one. So these machines can cost hundreds or thousands of dollars, so you really want to be sure that it's worth it for you. Here are the reasons why you might want a cover stitch machine. Number 1, it's going to make your knits look really professionally sewn. So if you sew a lot of knits, you're going to notice the difference. There's really no substitute for a cover stitched hem. Number 2, twin needles can be hard. Twin needles are really the best substitute for a cover stitch machine. And this is a technique that I use a lot, but it can be a little bit finicky. Want to see how I do it? Leave a comment below and maybe we'll make a video about that as well. But if you do struggle with twin needles, a cover stitch will make your life a lot easier. Number 3, your stitches will be strong. So when you're sewing knits, and especially when you're sewing activewear, you want those stitches to be strong so that your seams don't pop when you're moving around. Since a cover stitch machine is specifically designed for this, your seams are going to be a lot stronger than if you use a twin needle. Number 4, it's fast. So switching to a twin needle can really interrupt your sewing flow and it can slow you down. And having your cover stitch machine all set up can make things go a lot faster. And here are some reasons why you might want to save your money and not get one. Number 1, there's a pretty steep learning curve when it comes to using a cover stitch machine. So you'll want to know how to do things like adjust the tension or to troubleshoot if you get things like skip stitches. Number 2 is there are alternative ways of getting the same look as a cover stitch. So if you're not bothered by things like using a twin needle or using a zigzag to finish your knit hems, then you might not need a cover stitch machine. Number 3, they take up space. So if you already have a serger, then a cover stitch is going to be a 3rd machine. So see if you have room for that. Number 4, they're expensive. There's no way around this. Even if you get a used cover stitch machine, they'll usually end up costing you at least a few $100s. So to recap, are there more pros or are there more cons? Well, really that doesn't matter. What matters is whether this is something that's going to be useful to you. If you sew a ton of knits and you really want that clean, finished, ready-to-wear look, a cover stitch machine is really going to be the only way to get it. If you're tight on space or you're tight on budget, or if you're really not bothered by the look of a twin needle or a zigzag stitch, then save your money and you don't need a cover stitch. If you're still really on the fence, then the next time you sew a knit project, really pay attention to how you feel about it, particularly how you feel about the total finished look and the way the hems look. After that, you can really weigh how much happier you'd be if you had a cover stitch machine. So if you've listened to all of this and you've decided that you do want one, here are my tips for buying your cover stitch machine. Number 1, go to a dealer and try the machine out. And specifically, try out threading it, and you'll get a taste of what that feels like and what the learning curve is going to be like. Number 2, do a bunch of research and look at all the machine options. For example, air threading will save you a lot of time, but it's also going to cost you a lot of money. Really consider what features you need in your machine. And if you need help, check out the Seamwork community and you can post there and ask questions and people can help you pick out the features that you need. Number 3, buy the best machine that you can afford. So there's such a steep learning curve with cover stitch machines that you don't want to end up with a cheaper machine that you just get frustrated with and actually end up never using. Number 4, finally, buy used. You can check places like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and see if you can get a deal. Would you like to see more videos about cover stitch machines or maybe about sergers? Leave a comment below and let us know.